Beautiful scenery, have all these palm trees. It's beautiful weather here. It's April 3rd. It's a Monday. I don't like Mondays. Tell me why I don't like Mondays. But there is no reason, because you have no reason. That was a crazy song. I forget who wrote that tune, but it was about some girl who went to her school and shot it up, and they said, "Why'd you do it?" And she said, "Because I don't like Mondays." Crazy, crazy, crazy. So how's everyone doing? And I made a little short video earlier today about watching the women's NCAA finals yesterday between LSU and Iowa. Follow the grain in your own wood. Hello, good morning. If anyone didn't watch it on a replay. It was such a great game. Someone on LSU, I should get her name. She hit 6 3-point shots in the first half in a row. 6 in a row. Dawn Marie, so great to see you, Dawn Marie, one of our great supporters, great mods. We love Dawn Marie. London girl, London's calling. Isn't that amazing? London is here calling. So, anyone watch Shalane Thomason? Hello from Ohio, Sergeant Bill. Good to see you. Tin soldiers and Nixon coming. We're finally on our own. This summer I hear the calling for dead in Ohio. Gonna get down to it. Soldiers are gunning us down. Should have been down long ago. What if you knew her and found her dead on the ground? How can you run when you know? Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. They wrote tons of protest songs back in the day, Chicago, remember that tune, Chicago? Good morning from Dunedin. Dunedin. Shalane Thomason, great song, Sad Times. Yes, absolutely. ATS News, great band, for sure. They just recently lost David Crosby from the band, right? He was a hell of a singer, hell of a songwriter, great performer. Had some troubles in his life with drugs and stuff, but we won't hold that against him. Many people have problems in their life, right? Kim Alliston is on the air. Hi, Sergeant Bill. Blessings from the UK. Thank you, Kim. Always great to see you. 25 or 624. Do 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 do. That's a great song too. Angie Carson. Good morning from East Tennessee. Great, East Tennessee. Must be beautiful there. So guys, yesterday Mike Geary and I did a show, and we were talking, of course, about the Stephen Smith case and how difficult it will be to come up with the information they need to, Mary, good morning, Mary, to prosecute anyone for a homicide. Very difficult because almost 8 years have gone by and they have exhumed the body. I don't expect the new pathologist doing the redoing the autopsy to come up with new information, perhaps a new conclusion, but perhaps not new information. Maybe information on how the blunt trauma to the head was caused. Maybe the new pathologist will differ in that opinion. However, I don't expect it to be totally new. We spoke about that last night, Mike Geary and I. I watched on News Nation, and there's a journalist named Howard Bloom, and he put something out there saying that, the sheath in the Idaho quadruple murder case, of course, Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogen, Kaylee Gonsalves, and I'm missing one, of course. Which one am I missing, guys? I hate to... Well, anyway, the sheath in that case he's claiming that there could be a problem because they tested it at the Idaho State Lab and they didn't come up with the DNA. Maddie Mogan, yeah, Zaina Knodel. I'm sorry, guys. Thank you for the reminder. Zaina Knodel is the fourth. I hate calling them the Idaho Four. I want to list their names so that they're never ever forgotten. We don't ever want to forget those kids. Anyway, this guy, he's a journalist named Howard Bloom. He's saying, oh, there could be problems with the evidence because it was sent to a lab outside of Idaho, and the Idaho State Lab is supposed to be one of the best labs, but they sent it to a lab in Texas, and they came up with the familial DNA, which matched it to Brian Kohberger's father. I don't see that being a problem at all, as long as the lab is accredited, and that's the type of work they do, because it's just like in anything with investigation, if you need the expertise of someone, you bring them in or you present the evidence to them. I don't think that that is a problem whatsoever, and this journalist may be just trying to write a story. But so they bring it to the Idaho lab, and apparently this must have been, back in, the arrest was made on December 30th. It was probably sometime in December when they presented this evidence. And perhaps the Idaho lab didn't have the sophistication to test familial DNA, but this lab in Texas did. And as I said, as long as it's licensed and accredited, I don't see this to be a problem whatsoever. So they tested it in the lab in Texas, and they came up, of course, with the DNA from Brian Kohberger's father. And the other thing is that would this be a problem if there was no other evidence? But there's plenty of other evidence. There is tons of other evidence. No, he will not go free. Lovebug 53, no. These journalists, they throw, you've heard that expression, when you throw enough at the wall, they want to see what sticks. This will not be a problem. First of all, we don't even know the treasure trove or the tractor trailers full, and I use that exaggerated term, of evidence that the prosecution has in the Brian Kohberger case. It was mentioned that his vehicle was a traveling, moving crime scene. What did they recover from the forensic go-through of Brian Kohberger's car, the processing of his car? What did they recover? Did they recover blood from one of the victims? Did they recover hair? Was there hair from the dog? What did they recover from that car? And of course we know that Brian Kohberger tried to clean that car numerous times, probably using all kinds of different chemicals. But if you speak to anyone who's a crime scene professional, they can never remove all the little spots, all the microscopic pieces of potential DNA, of blood evidence, of hairs, of fibers. No matter how many times or how professionally they think they cleaned it, that's not going to remove all of the evidence. So they professionally processed that car. In addition, folks, some of the most powerful evidence, and we remember this in the Alec Murdaugh case. How powerful was the electronic evidence? How powerful was the cell phone evidence? How powerful was the video that his son made of him on the scene, approximately a minute before they were murdered? So that same type of electronic evidence is available in the Kohberger case. We all know in the Brian Kohberger en route. As a former cop, could you imagine there being any truth to people? People that say he's being framed are idiots. That's all you can say. You give them no play. You give them no shine, as they call it. They're morons. All right? So let's put them in the category they belong. Anyone that is saying that Brian Kohberger is being framed is an absolute moron. Okay? That's a canonism. That's canon law. I just said, I put it out there, put my stamp on it. Anyone who says that Brian Kohberger is being framed is an absolute moron. Okay, let's dismiss them. Let's get them out of the conversation. All right. Fuzzy Doxy, good to see you. London Girl, when is BK trial going to start? MMA admin, I love it, Bill. We don't know when the trial is going to start. We know that the hearings are scheduled for June 26th. So when we talk about that, the judge gave the defense almost 6 months to prepare for the trial. And I told you what I believe is going to happen. I believe they're going to go to hearings on June 26th, and they're going to use the 5 days necessary, and someone, either the defense or the prosecution, is saying, Your Honor, we need some more time. Could we put the case off till September? Because no one wants to work during the summer. That includes the prosecution, the defense, and the judge. So I believe the judge will say, okay, we're going to put the case off till September. Grace Green, good to see you. Good to see you. 86 people in the chat, 41 with the thumbs up. Guys, let's get those thumbs up. More thumbs up. So I believe that the judge is going to put the case off till September. So it could very well happen that the case may not be set for trial till September. That's a real distinct possibility. And you heard it here on Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories, Coffee with Cannon. Michael Geary's in the chat. Oh my God. Look at that. Mike is not only a frequent co-host, but he's a fan. He's a fan of Police Off the Cuff, Coffee with Cannon, Backyard Beverage, Bitchin' with Bill. Here we are. Yes, Professor Mike is in the house. How nice to see that. 89 in the chat, 47 with the thumbs up. Dream with Sergeant Bill, will the families have to listen and see the autopsy detail? Well, look, I believe the families of all the victims will probably want to be in the courtroom during this trial, whether they have the stomach for it or whether they can just stop their life and sit in the courtroom, during which for this case could be, it could be a 4 to 6 month trial or 3 to 6 month. It depends. Depends how many witnesses. It depends how complicated the trial gets. So family members are absolutely allowed to get premier seating in the courtroom. They're invited to be there. Whether they can handle the things they're going to hear, that's one of the things that they're going to have to decide for themselves. One of the things that I brought up today is that the Texas lab, and again a journalist named Howard Bloom is making a big deal about the Idaho lab didn't test the knife sheath, or that they didn't recover the DNA, that they sent it to a lab in Texas that does this type of work, and they were able to recover the DNA from the knife sheath that was compared to Brian Kohberger's father. Folks, after Brian Kohberger's father's DNA was identified, there's no doubt that the second part of that testing would be to test an exemplar of Brian Kohberger's DNA. And then it was probably a complete 100%, or as close to 100% match as you could get. So I don't see this being a problem whatsoever. And again, one of the biggest, on News Nation the other night, one of the biggest questions from the host was, is there other evidence that will supplement the knife sheath DNA? Of course there is. There's tons of evidence. Even if we talk about the video of what looked like Brian Kohberger's car, the Hyundai Elantra, white in color, pulling up to the house and parking in the backyard, that's very powerful evidence, all right? The fact that when he pulled up to the house, his cell phone was shut off, right? And they could show where it was shut off and when it was shut off. That's the sign of premeditated murder. And then also, he comes back later. Remember, guys, he came back later to the house, but this time his cell phone is turned on. And his cell phone, the cell sites, put him at the scene. Is that supplemental evidence that would interest you if you were a juror? Absolutely. 100%. MMA, exactly. Consciousness of guilt. Mike Geary says that ad nauseum. Consciousness of guilt. So they track his cell phone as to when and where he had it on. Grace Green, yes, it's so obvious. You know, when you listen to some of these people, there's a lot of people, of course, we listen to all different types on the internet that follow us content creators. We listen to content creators, some who have absolutely zero credentials except that they like doing a podcast. Some of them give their opinions, and you got to take some of their opinions with a grain of salt based on no experience in the criminal justice field, in investigation, in science, in anything to do with police work. Many of them just slap up a shingle and say, here I am, a true crime podcaster. Please listen to me. Jill, South Carolina is here. Bobby Yonsei, hello from Monteverdi, Florida. How are you? Good to see you. I love it here. I love it where I am. It's just totally beautiful. You see the palm trees. You know, something happened to me. I just want to tell a quick story. I was going into the gym yesterday, and this bird flew out of the palm tree and attacked me, like dove right at my back. And I was like, what the heck? And I looked up and I see the bird fly up into a palm tree, and I told someone in the gym, I go, what the hell was that about? He goes, the bird, was protecting her eggs, and she saw you as a threat. And that's why, I mean, that never happened to me in New York. New York birds are not that brazen that they attack your back. But this Floridian bird dove and attacked my back. And now I have a great story to tell. The most aggressive bird I've ever seen, though, it was in Martha's Vineyard. This seagull stole a hot dog off of a hot grill. I had never seen a bird do that in my life. That a Martha's Vineyard seagull swoops down on a grill that was burning hot and steals a hot dog. That must have been that bird practiced that for years to get the technique down to steal a hot dog without getting burnt himself. Anyway, that's my bird stories, you know. Deborah Sullivan, it's pretty funny, right? Pamela White, thank you for the $2 super sticker. Yeah. Some of these stories, and then from what I understand, when you talk to people that live in Florida, those bird stories, yeah, it's happened to almost everyone. Yeah, I was attacked by a bird too. I was like, wow. And you know what people do here that I don't like? They feed the damn squirrels. I know I mentioned this before, but you know, squirrels to me are just rats with a bushy tail. And the squirrels get too, they think that they live in your backyard, and they want to just get friendly, and I'm not interested in getting friendly with a rat with a bushy tail, you know. And then the other thing that did it grab some sauerkraut? No, Dr. Cholette, it just grabbed the dog. No condiments, no mustard, no ketchup, no red onions, no sauerkraut. Just the Bobby Yonsei, raccoons. Yeah, that's another animal that you should not get friendly with. They're a big carrier of rabies, and so are squirrels. But people insist, and you know what else squirrels do? I'm talking about, like, this is an animal show. Squirrels will eat the rubber under your car. And as someone else told me recently, the air filter you have in your car, there's some kind of food product they use or something like it on the air filter, and they'll eat that. So, like, people are feeding these damn things, and they're multiplying like rabbits. Squirrels and rabbits probably multiply about the same speed, and they're all over the place. All right, that's enough. That's enough. This is why I call it bitching with Bill. You know, I get a topic, I start bitching, and you never know where I'm going to go with it. 132 in the chat, 69 with the thumbs up. Let's get some more thumbs up, guys. This is Coffee with Cannon, backyard beverage, bitching with Bill. Bobby Yonsei, they will destroy the air ducts in your house. I feed the squirrels, spilling the tea. Jane C, thanks for the $1.99 super sticker. Well, I'm just asking you squirrel feeders to stop feeding them, especially if you're down here in Florida, because they're not as friendly and as innocent looking. They're not Disney squirrels. These are wild squirrels, and they'll start eating your car and everything else around. Someone just said, Mary Ricketts, squirrels moved into my car heating ducts, cost big dollars to have it fixed. Yeah. Ruckus, hi Sarge, how are you? Good to see you. Michael Marr, thumbs up. Amy in Boston, good afternoon everyone. Looks like a gorgeous day in Florida, Bill. I call squirrels free rats. Haha. Well, you know, Mayor Koch in New York City, he used to call pigeons rats with wings. So I always thought that was pretty funny. Mayor Koch had some personality. He's one of the best mayors we ever had in New York City. Amy in Boston, Dawn Marie, good to see you. Dawn Marie's a great moderator for us on here on a Police Off the Cuff. In addition, Kim Alliston, great moderator, great person, great supporter of Police Off the Cuff, real crime stories. So let's get back just to the Kohberger thing. You know, they're also trying to figure out, and they've apparently issued over 60 warrants to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and all the social medias to see what they could, if there's any nexus between Kaylee, Madison, or Zana with Brian Kohberger. Nexus, I mean any connection between them. Were they on social media? Was he stalking them on social media? If they come up with connections in regards to this, Barbara George, that's the oldest joke in the book. She says, Bill, I heard the squirrels were looking for you. They thought you were nuts. I don't know if I would even tell that joke again. It's corny, but okay. I gave you kudos for saying it. I got a squirrel. He drives my car. Wow. Now I'm getting all you nuts are coming into the chat. This is Coffee with Cannon, Backyard Beverage, Bitching with Bill. Guys, if you're not subscribed to Police Off the Cuff, go on our YouTube, hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, ring that bell, and make comments. I love comments. I love to answer the comments, and I love when you guys give us a thumbs up because that makes YouTube share it out there. Grace Green, I enjoyed the joke. That was a real funny joke, right? Hello, KC. Hello, how are you? Great to see you. So, getting back to they issued over 60 warrants to social media companies in regards to see if there's a nexus between Brian Kohberger and these girls, and specifically, the theory was that he was pursuing one specific girl, or was targeted one specific girl. We don't know if that's true. They had said it was potentially Madison Mogan or Kaylee Gonsalves. Again, we don't know, for example, if that is true, but this could give some evidence. Kel, hello, Bill. Good afternoon from New York. Good afternoon. That's what I like about you, Bill. You really like us. I do like you guys. I mean, look, we're having a good conversation here. Pablo Sakata, hi, Bill. Do you see any surprises in the Kohberger trial? Are things going? I think, look, there's always going to be wins and losers for both the defense and the prosecution. I think that by the time the prosecution is ready to take this case to trial, it's going to be tight. They're going to have a tremendous amount of evidence. I hope that the Idaho District Attorney, the Moscow, Idaho District Attorney, gets some prosecutorial help, because this is a massive, massive undertaking. To prosecute a case like this is very difficult. The organization of the evidence, the presentation of the evidence is very difficult, and it usually takes a great deal of experience to prosecute a murder case. And in this one, it's a quadruple murder case. So I hope he perhaps loses his ego, and I'm not saying he has a huge ego, but I hope he requests help from a more experienced prosecutor, because in this case, that's what you can definitely use. Look, they requested help early on from other law enforcement, the Idaho State Police they requested help from, the FBI, and they got the help. And think of if they would have tried to proceed with this case without the help. The other thing that we spoke about the other night, well, maybe I won't get to that yet. So again, getting back to this journalist, Howard Bloom, he was saying, sending the sheath to Texas is going to benefit Kohberger. I don't think so. I don't think it's even a factor. I really don't. And if there was no other evidence, and this was what this entire case was being based on, was the DNA on the sheath, then maybe you could make that argument. But I don't think that this is even remotely close to the only evidence that they have in this case. I believe they have tons more evidence, and that will be evident as they start releasing some of the evidentiary releases to the public, the discovery, because now there's a gag order. So when the defense receives discovery material from the prosecution, they're not allowed to speak about it. Somehow this journalist, Howard Bloom, found out about this, and he's making a big deal out of it because, that's what journalists do. That's what broadcasters do. And, it's just like when we covered the case last night, myself and, again, I'm going to segue to Stephen Smith. Again, his body was exhumed, and we spoke about the case. On News Nation, Cuomo said, breaking news in the Stephen Smith case. And it was so far from breaking news that I had to laugh. The two individuals that they said were persons of interest, that was released in 2015. So the two individuals were Patrick Wilson and Sean Connolly. So it was not breaking news whatsoever. They were on a document, an investigative document in 2015. In addition, someone pointing a finger at them was triple hearsay. And the person that pointed the finger at them said he heard this person say that this happened and that happened, and that this person was driving and ran over Stephen Smith. But I thought the investigators said that his wounds were not caused by a hit and run accident. So not only was it not breaking news, but it was quadruple hearsay and probably not even consistent with the evidence. But they just, jagaloon of breaking news. You're using Duty Ron's expressions, but I love that. So I just pointed that out. How is it breaking news? We knew about that in 2015. It's not breaking, and then he had, of course, Geragos on, which is a prominent attorney. And he made his comments, but when Cuomo's little bit was over, he didn't even mention two. He mentioned one. He goes, "There's two individuals," and then he only mentioned one. So not only was it not breaking, but there was only. He said there were two persons of interest, and he only listed one. So look, I'm not trying to rag on Cuomo. I make mistakes too, frequently, and once you say something, it's tough to take it back unless you take it back the next time. Legal, I think it's discussing how active cases are broadcasted across the news because they hype when it has right to do so. Like you say, it's not. Yeah, you know what it is? I think that because Legal Eagle, because of this gag order, the littlest thing comes out, the littlest information comes out, they blow it up because they need to do an episode. They need to do a story on the littlest information that may come out. So, yeah, I agree with you. It's like the littlest information. They want to do a story on it because the gag order is creating the big news, the big evidence from coming out. So we talk about other evidence in the $20 Grace Green. Thank you so much for the $20 super sticker. I love that little meme on there. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Very much appreciated. With his paycheck, he could be. Mark Geragos was Scott Peterson's attorney. Mark Geragos has been around for a long time. He's been an attorney for a long time. He's been a prominent attorney for a long time, and he's been a talking head for a long time. That's what my common term for someone that always talks about what's going on. So let's get back to all the warrants that they issued for Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. If again there is a nexus between Brian Kohberger and any of these social media sites, and they make that connection, it's very, very powerful evidence. I just hope, I'm not sure what you meant by that. I didn't get to read the whole thing. Legal. So when there is news gag order lifted, there will be a headline and it would be on the basis of reach breaking news. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too, is that if anything, the gag order has prevented a lot of extremely sensational stories to be put out there by the news media. Because right now they're just they're making mountains out of molehills, right? That's the little expression you have from your childhood. They're making a mountain out of a molehill, and that's basically because they're only being fed little snippets of information. Cuomo says nuggets. Nuggets of information, you know? So little snippets, I'll use a college word, snippets of information. Naomi McFarland, I just hope that the media doesn't hurt the Idaho case. Look, we've said on our show, and Duty Ron has said on his show, that the media can be your best friend and your greatest enemy. It's all how you use the media. But the media uses law enforcement too. And believe me, the media can turn on law enforcement in a nanosecond. If law enforcement does anything wrong, the media just turns on them like a rabid dog or a rabid squirrel or a rabid raccoon. They turn on law enforcement in a quick second. You know, we was talking about the other night about the Nashville, Tennessee school shooting and the amazing job that the police did. You don't see the mainstream media dwelling on the great job that the police did. They would rather report that the police screwed up, like in Uvalde, right? You know, they don't want to report on the positive things police did. And the police in Nashville, Tennessee did an unbelievable job. How about in Parkland? Parkland, the school safety officer that stood outside, it was as he was hearing shots. You know, that's inexcusable. I'll say that first out. Inexcusable, but the media would rather a story like that than a positive story. I said right away, the two officers in Nashville, Tennessee, they should be invited to the White House. Will they ever be? No, because they don't want to present positive stories on police. For some reason, the Democrats don't do that. And how could you have two bigger heroes? How many lives those two guys saved by putting an end to that shooter? They've saved, you know, 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 lives, depending on how long the shooter could have went on. But because of their training, their valor, their bravery, they put an end to that right away, you know? Legal, that's right. Don't forget, guys, hit that like button. Give us a thumbs up. Ring that bell. What would life be without Coffee with Cannon? Wouldn't be as exciting, and I give you these amazing little views behind me. You know, I'm going back to New York on the 29th of April. I can't wait to do, and my pool guy supposedly is getting the pool ready. I can't believe it. So I'm going to do some shows in my backyard, and we'll get to hear those chickens again, you know, going crazy. You guys tell me that chickens go nuts when they're laying eggs. They must have been laying eggs because they were going crazy in my yard. So I'll be back in my yard soon at the end of the month. I just actually signed a 1-year lease for a place down here. But I'm not going to spend much time here in the summer. I'll come down here every once in a while, but the winters, I would love to. The winter down here is just, that's where I want to be, you know. I don't want to be in freezing cold New York for the winter. Barbara George, that will never happen, them going to the White House. So sad. You're right. You think LSU is going to be invited, the girls basketball team? I think they should be, but is that a little different? Sports heroes as compared to real life heroes that save lives? And whoever wins the men's NCAA tournament, it's actually tonight, right? Connecticut and the other team that beat that great Florida team. Why can't I think of the name right now? But yeah, very different. It is very different inviting a sports team as compared to a real life hero. But what do you think is more important? San Diego State. Okay, San Diego State, UConn. I think UConn looks overpowering. I think they're going to. I think they're going to win the whole thing. So yeah, it just you're right. It's very different sports teams, and I don't want to, diminish their heroic activity, their heroic exploits in their lane in sports. But is real life saving lives a little more heroic than playing sports? I think it is, and people can argue that. But I think it is, and I'm going to give my opinion because it's my show. All right, 151 in the chat, 112 with their thumbs up. Let's get some more thumbs up, guys. KC, yes, you agree with me. Amy in Boston agrees too. Legal, absolutely. So look, I'm getting some people agreeing with me. Not everyone agrees with me. Mostly my wife. Never agrees with me. Dawn Marie, you're officially a snowbird, Bill. Yeah, I something. I guess, I don't know. I don't want to use age, but as you get older, you don't want to deal with the damn winter anymore, You don't want to deal with slipping on the ice in your driveway and falling on your ass like I have numerous times, You don't want to deal with that. You want to deal with Florida. Robbie, thank you for the 99 super chat. Very much appreciated. Robbie, great to see you here. I see some new faces, guys. And again, if you're not subscribed, subscribe. It's free to subscribe. Just go on our YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. We should be hitting 48,000 any minute now. I think we were about, I don't know, we were about 84 from 48,000. I'm waiting for that big show where I get like a duty run where he one show he did, he got Andy the Gabby Cabby, you got 20 years on me and I agree with you already. Winter sucks. Andy, you know something, you should take that British cab and bring it here to Florida. I know you can't do it because the steering wheel's on the wrong side, but this will prolong your life. It's easier. Legal, 48,000. We're working hard at it. I brought in Melanie Little, who I love. I told you guys where I met Melanie. We were both in the same acting class. And then I hear Melanie's an attorney. Melanie's got 5 kids. She's very well spoken. She's an excellent actress too. And what a guest. I just started using her recently as a guest, and she's fantastic. Mike Geary. And of course, straight out of Brooklyn, Phil Grimaldi. How could you get any better than that, Straight out of Brooklyn. Legal, brilliant. Yes, it's not, something. One of the things with getting guests to come on your show, it's not only the talent they have, but they have to have a good Wi-Fi signal. Not everyone does. They have to have a good microphone or sound, and they have to be good on the air. So there's like 3 things: good Wi-Fi signal, good microphone, and they have to be good on the air. So it's not that easy to get great guests. Duty Ron always seems to get great guests, And some of his guests, believe it or not, I introduced him to Barbara Butcher, who was probably one of his most successful guests. He had a 1.9 million episode with Barbara Butcher. Is that unbelievable? 1.9 million. And I think he told me he had got 50 or 60,000 new subscribers from that one episode. Incredible. I need my Barbara Butcher moment, And Barbara, I'm supposed to go to Barbara Butcher's book signing in June in New York. It's going to be in Brooklyn. The love of God. I love Barbara Butcher too. I took a course with her when I was on the NYPD. She taught at the criminal investigation course, and she was not only was she knowledgeable, but she was funny as hell. She has personality. She's got it all. Dawn Maria, Barbara Butcher is, what a last name, right? Her dad was NYPD. Her dad was a deputy inspector in the NYPD. And Barbara Butcher grew up on Massapequa, Long Island. I grew up in Levittown. And when I was a young lad, the Massapequa Mustangs had the greatest midget football program in the nation. Them and Farmingdale, and I think Levittown was 3, but they were our arch rivals, Massapequa. It's like when you said the name Massapequa in Levittown, it was like, because they were like kids that were, Inspector Butcher is a great name, it sure is. The love of God. Yeah, so like Levittown kids, we were always told, oh, you guys are the poor kids, you You have no money. This is how they motivated us. Your parents just about feeding you. And Massapequa, they live, you know, on the South Shore near the water. They all have boats. They're much richer. You guys should make them pay for that when you play them in football. This is how they motivated us when we were kids, you know. Levittown kids were tough as it is. I don't think we even needed them. And Farmingdale. Farmingdale was another really tough football town on Long Island. Amazing. Scott Sargent, it's still that way. Wow, I got someone from Long Island telling me it's still that way, that Levittown and Massapequa and Farming. But when we went to high school, though, Levittown had 4 high schools when I went to school. There was Levittown Memorial, Levittown Division, Island Trees, and MacArthur. So we always imagine they put those 4 schools together. The football team would be incredible, you know, but just think of what it would be like to just try to make the team, right? So now Levittown Memorial, where I went to high school, doesn't exist anymore. It went the way of population decline, and they closed Levittown Memorial, and all the kids that legal, yes, I'm from Long Island. I grew up in Levittown. From the age of, I think, 5 or 6 till I went away to college, and then I was from Levittown, lived in Levittown, and then I moved in to New York City after I got out of college, and plied my fortunes in New York City. A couple of years, 5 years, I worked as a bartender, because I couldn't find a job that wanted to pay me enough to survive, and then Duty Ron invited me, but follow the grain in your own wood. Yeah, your Wi-Fi has to be tight, or else the signal. I've actually had to cut people right off the show live because their Wi-Fi was so bad, and I can't subject the audience to that. If the person is cutting in and out or their sound is horrible, I can't keep them on the show, because the poor people that are listening, they'll be like, "Oh, this is terrible," and you know, it's not my fault if someone has bad Wi-Fi. So, you know. Anyway, how did I get on these topics? Susie Bluesky, hi Bill, I love you. Police off the cuff. Thank you so much, Deborah Sullivan. Saw a docu about Levittown, that was great. Yeah, those houses were all like very small. They were all built the same way so they could put them up quickly. My parents, you know what they paid for our house? I forget what year it was. So it was probably like 1960. They paid $14,990 for our house, and they struggled to come up with whatever the small, tiny down payment was, and $14,990. You can't even buy a car for that now. You can imagine that? Legal loads from the UK here. Scott, Levittown houses. Martha Mine, my brother was born in Long Island, but we moved to Virginia later. Linda Daughtry, thank you. So good to see you here. There's 147 in the chat, 130 with the thumbs up. Yeah, it's, you know, I love when I see you guys from all over the world coming in here. My Great Britain people like Kim Alliston. Didn't Billy Joel have a song about Levittown, Cage Walker? Billy Joel was from Levittown or Hicksville. He went to Hicksville High School, but he always claimed he was from Levittown because Levittown, like, you know, has that tough guy. Can I do a singing cast? You know, I thought about that one day. I'll do a guitar. So I've done some tunes on the Patreon where I played a tune on the guitar, but you know, you don't get great sound using like the microphone that we use for our broadcast. It doesn't always pick up the guitar and the singing as well as this. Allentown, that's right. Well, we're living here in Allentown, and they tried to knock the factory down. Out in Bethlehem, they won't alone. I can't remember all the words, but yeah, that was like sort of a homage to Levittown, but he used Allentown in Pennsylvania. Billy Joel's an amazing artist, an amazing singer. I saw he just like lost some crazy amount of weight. I don't know, like 60 or 80 pounds. And I don't know how he did it. He said he did it in like a month. How could you lose that much weight in 1 month? I mean, crazy, right? Legal, hi guys. Thank you, you guys that say you love my singing. Appreciate it. Sometimes it's hard to pick the key out of thin air. Like if you don't have like a guitar chord, something to give you the pitch. Billy Joel did. I don't know. Well, did he stop drinking? He's had drinking problems throughout his life, and he's also had depression problems throughout his life. He's actually been hospitalized for depression, and I feel horrible for that because you know something, that's Andy the Gabby Cabby. I lost about 20 pounds in 6 weeks, but 60 to 80. That's, yeah. I don't know how he did it. I hope it wasn't from the bypass surgery. You know. Legal, your singing is fun either way. Thank you, Legal. Because that bypass surgery is, it's sort of dangerous, I think, you know, and I don't know if people can ever really enjoy eating, because I have a friend that had that, and he can just eat very little at a sitting. So whenever we go out to dinner, he brings like his dinner home because he can't finish it, you know, and that's, look, I think in the most severe cases of obesity, they have to do it, and if it's going to save your life, absolutely, but it's not, if you could lose weight some other way, that's probably the way to go. Hi, everyone have a good day, take care, thank you for stopping by, very much appreciated, all my audience members, all my friends, all my subscribers, all my fans, you know. Unbelievable. Yeah, you know who's another tremendous, Robbie, so I work in the music business, give you guys some trivia. Carly Simon, Your Sylvain was about You Have to, not Warren Beatty. Yeah, we always thought that it was about Warren Beatty because it was sort of pushed out there. And then there were rumors that it was about Mick Jagger, you know. There's an amazing musical band, the Rolling Stones. Legal, we enjoy your chats, Bill, thank you. Lovebug53, bye Bill, love you, thank you. Scott, hey Sergeant, wasn't the big diet in the late 80s and early 90s? The big diet was Atkins, right? And you can do a modified, if you don't want to read the book, you can do a modified Atkins diet, and I'll tell you how you could lose weight, and I do it every once in a while, but it's tough to do. Just don't eat pasta, bread, or potatoes, and you will guaranteed 100% lose weight. I can attest to that. I've done it. Keto, my sons are doing that now. My son Jake, who's not even heavy, he's been doing it. I'm like, Jake, what are you doing? He's getting married, so I guess he wants to be svelte when he walks down the aisle or when he gets married, you know? So Jake, yeah, Jake is, and my son Casey, who's probably intermittent fasting. That seems to be the big thing right now. Amy in Boston, laughing my ass off. I'm glad I amuse you. I lost a lot that way. Keto was great. Mick Jagger sang back up on You're So Vain. Whoa. Love You're So Vain. You know, she seems, Carly Simon, of course, she's one of the heirs of the Simon and Schuster publishers. So she was born very, very, very rich. Her family was loaded. And of course, she married James Taylor. But she was a good singer and performer in her own right. But I don't think she does much singing or performing anymore. And it was said that she had stage fright, tremendous amount of stage fright. Can you imagine that? Mary Rickus, my son is Jacob, wonderful name. You know, Mary, my son likes the name Jake, but hates if we call him Jacob, you know. And that's a biblical name, it's a beautiful name. But a lot of, you know, I tried to name my kids unusual names, and I thought Jake was unusual at the time. Everyone was naming their son Jake. But my son Casey, that's not that common a name. And Casey in Gaelic means valorous, brave. So I thought that's a great thing. Let's name him Casey. You know, because Casey can also be a girl's name. So, you know, when people said, oh, you have a girl's name, I said, just tell them my name means brave, valorous in Gaelic. And so he used to do that when he was a kid, and it shut other kids that thought they were going to tease him, shut him right up. Really, my name means brave. And if you don't want a knuckle sandwich, you better back off. Guys, I'm at 49 minutes, 38 seconds. I got to go now. Thank you so much for tuning in today. It's been my pleasure to talk with you guys. Have a great day, and we'll see you real soon.